Hello, Army. Have you ever wondered what really happens behind the closed garage doors of the world's biggest boy band? Not the music rooms, not the dance studios, but the secret sanctuaries where horsepower replaces choreography and roaring engines take the place of screaming crowds. Tonight, we're stepping into a world no stage camera ever fully captures, where luxury, adrenaline, childhood dreams, and personal victories collide in the form of steel, leather, and engines worth more than some people's houses. And the wildest part? Every member of BTS has a story behind their car collection that's far deeper than he bought something expensive. Some of them chased cars to heal their exhaustion. Some used them to celebrate milestones. Some chose models that reflect personality traits fans rarely get to see. And some, well, let's just say their choices are so unexpected that even seasoned car collectors raise their eyebrows. But here's the real question. What makes a car the perfect car for a global superstar? Is it the speed, the elegance, the sentimental memory it carries? Or is it the fact that they can finally buy something they once only saw through windows as trainees? As you follow this list, ask yourself, why do people collect cars at all? Why do luxury vehicles become symbols of someone's hidden personality? And among 7 individuals who conquered the world together, who turned their success into the most jaw-dropping automotive lineup, we're not here to gossip. We're here to uncover the stories behind the engines, the emotions wrapped beneath the glossy paint, and the surprising human moments that shaped every purchase. But beware, the rankings might shatter the assumptions you've held for years. The quiet ones don't always have simple taste, the loud ones aren't always the flashiest, and the youngest? Well, his story is something else entirely. So buckle up, breathe in that imaginary leather interior, and prepare yourself for a ride through the garages of legends. You might think you know BTS, but do you know their cars? Let's find out, starting from the bottom of the list, where the surprises begin. Number 7. Jin, the classic gentleman behind the wheel. Every time people talk about luxury cars in BTS, Jin is usually the one fans underestimate, maybe because he doesn't show off, maybe because he rarely flaunts anything that looks like a flex. But that's exactly why his car story hits different. Jin isn't the type to chase every new release or run after horsepower like a man trying to outrun his own ego. His taste leans towards something more refined, more grown, more him. The man who built his identity around warmth, humor, and gentle confidence somehow ended up owning vehicles that look like they belong to a CEO stepping out of a high-rise in Gangnam on a snowy night. Jin's choice of cars reflects that part of him fans often forget exists, the part that carries discipline, maturity, and a sense of responsibility shaped by years of being the eldest. Imagine being surrounded by fame, pressure, cameras, and expectations your entire adult life, yet somehow still choosing cars not because they're trendy, but because they feel right. Jin once admitted that he likes things that age well, things that won't lose their charm just because the world's taste changes, and that philosophy shows up in every detail of his automotive choices. Instead of loud engines, he prefers smooth, quiet rides that feel like an embrace after a long day. Instead of sharp, aggressive silhouettes, he leans toward cars with timeless lines, vehicles built for people who value elegance over intimidation. It's almost poetic how his car collection mirrors his personality. He's the kind who walks into a room without making noise, yet still leaves everyone turning their heads. Fans who've caught glimpses of him driving around Seoul often describe the same thing. Jin doesn't drive like someone in a rush. He drives like someone enjoying peace, like the road is the only place where he isn't the eldest young of BTS, but simply a man who loves cruising with his favorite playlist, humming softly through the speakers. And there's something incredibly human about that. One of his earlier cars was a model admired by many Korean actors, a refined luxury sedan, not too flashy but unmistakably high-end, a car chosen by someone who appreciates craftsmanship instead of clout. Something that says, I don't need to be loud to be seen. Later in his career, as BTS ascended to heights no one predicted, Jin upgraded not to the wildest machine, but to a car known for its exceptionally smooth performance and luxurious interior. People who know cars immediately recognized what that meant. Jin chooses comfort, safety, and quiet sophistication over raw power. And when you think about his lifestyle, late-night drives home after exhausting schedules, moments when he needed solitude to recharge, long trips to visit family, you realize his choices make perfect emotional sense. Jin's relationship with cars also carries a sentimental layer. Behind the scenes, Members have mentioned how Jin sometimes drives when he feels overwhelmed, letting the night wind calm him. And maybe that's why he doesn't go over the top with luxury. He wants cars that feel like refuge, not status symbols. That's the reason he lands at number 7, not because his cars are less beautiful, less impressive, or less expensive, but because his approach is quieter, more grounded, more intimate. He doesn't chase extravagance, he chases peace. And yet, despite landing at the bottom of this ranking, there's something irresistible about the way his garage still shines with understated authority. Classic, mature, the kind of luxury that whispers instead of shouts. Someone once said that Jin has the taste of a man who knows who he is. And maybe that's the greatest luxury of all. Number 6, Jimin, the elegant minimalist with hidden luxury. When people talk about the big spenders of BTS, Jimin's name rarely comes up first, and that's exactly why his spot on this list feels so fascinating. Jimin isn't the type to broadcast his purchases or casually drop hints about the price tag of anything he owns. He moves differently. His relationship with luxury is subtle, almost poetic, quietly woven into the details of his daily life. And when it comes to cars, he treats them the same way he treats the stage, with intention, emotion, and a sense of artistry that doesn't need anyone's approval. At first glance, you might assume Jimin is someone who drives purely for convenience, but that's where most people are wrong. True fans know that beneath his softness lies a man who has always had an eye for beauty, clean lines, balanced proportions, machines that move with grace rather than brute force. And the deeper you look, the more clear it becomes. Jimin's taste in cars is a reflection of his personality, a mixing point of elegance, safety, reliability, and a quiet desire for premium comfort. There's something almost cinematic about imagining him behind the wheel. Picture Jimin late at night, the city lights of Seoul reflecting across the windshield as he drives home after a long day at the studio. The streets are empty, the world is quiet, and he finally gets a moment to breathe. Inside the car, the soft hum of the engine becomes a kind of therapy, a rare pocket of solitude in a life filled with noise, expectations, and constant performance. That's why his car choices always lean toward luxury brands, known for refinement, understated excellence, and smooth handling. Fans who've paid close attention over the years know he once owned a vehicle celebrated for its sleek silhouette and premium craftsmanship, a car that doesn't scream for attention but still radiates sophistication from every angle. It's the kind of car chosen by someone who values beauty in silence, someone who finds comfort in the small details. The stitching of the leather seats, the elegance of the dashboard, the way the interior lighting wraps around him like a soft glow. And it fits him perfectly. Because Jimin isn't flashy, he's intentional. What makes his place on this list even more interesting is the emotional context behind his choices. Early in his career, he didn't jump into the world of hyper-expensive cars the moment he could afford it. He waited, he thought. He made decisions like someone who understood the weight of financial responsibility, like someone who grew up watching his family work hard and save carefully. His journey into luxury cars wasn't a leap, it was a slow, thoughtful walk. And when he finally stepped into that world, he chose vehicles that embodied everything he is. Soft but strong, elegant but powerful, minimalistic yet undeniably premium. Jimin also had a period where fans noticed he wasn't driving much at all. Some speculated it was because of how busy BTS was, while others believed he simply preferred to be driven so he could rest. But when he did drive, it felt meaningful, like he was reclaiming a rare moment just for himself. People who've seen him on the road say he drives with the same calm precision he uses on stage. Smooth, careful, controlled. As if he's acutely aware of the world around him. As if he's carrying something precious, perhaps his own sense of peace. But don't let his gentle image fool you. Beneath the serene surface, Jimin has a strong, confident side that chooses luxury not to impress others, but to honor himself. It's the same inner strength that led him from a small-town dreamer to a global icon. The same determination that made him practice until dawn as a trainee. The same fire that makes his performances unforgettable. In that sense, every car he owns becomes more than a purchase. It becomes a symbol of survival, growth, and reward. A reminder of everything he overcame to reach this point. And maybe that's why his collection isn't the biggest or the loudest, because for Jimin, cars aren't trophies. They're quiet celebrations of a journey he rarely talks about. He sits comfortably at number 6, not because his taste is lacking, but because his priorities lie elsewhere. His cars reflect a man grounded, thoughtful, and deeply connected to meaning. Luxury that whispers, not shouts. Elegance chosen through the lens of gratitude, not ego. And in its own way, that makes his garage one of the most beautiful of all. Number 5. Suga, the quiet king of understated power. If there's one thing you should never underestimate, it's a man who knows exactly what he likes, and Suga is the definition of that. Out of all the BTS members, he is the one whose luxury is often invisible to the untrained eye. Not because he doesn't have it, but because he refuses to parade it. Suga's relationship with cars is almost philosophical. He doesn't buy to impress. He buys to function, to feel, and to protect his personal sanctuary of peace. And that's why his car story lands perfectly at number 5, because beneath his quiet, minimalist exterior lies a surprising taste for machines that blend performance, safety, technology, and subtle prestige, in a way only a man like him would appreciate. Imagine this, Yoongi, after a 12-hour studio session, stepping into a sleek luxury vehicle that doesn't roar, doesn't boast, but glides. A car that feels less like transportation and more like a moving studio, quiet, insulated, smooth, and perfectly tuned to shut the world out. That's the energy of his car collection. People often call him the introverted genius of BTS, someone who loves solitude, silence, late-night drives, and the soft hum of music vibrating through the speakers while he thinks about lyrics only he could write. And because he values that peace so deeply, his car choices reflect a man who has built his own bubble in a life that constantly tries to invade it. His earlier vehicles were already premium chosen with the precision of someone who does his research and doesn't waste a single one on something that won't last. Fans who've tracked his purchases over the years know that his taste leans toward models famous for near-perfect engineering, strong bodies, stable handling, interiors that feel like a living room designed by a perfectionist. Cars that aren't flashy but are revered by people who actually know cars. And that's the key difference. Suga buys for himself, not the world. As BTS's success grew, so did the sophistication of his choices. One of his most well-known cars is a model that car enthusiasts practically worship for its balance between performance and elegance. Not the kind of car you buy if you want strangers to stare, but exactly the kind you choose if you value craftsmanship, long drives, and the satisfaction of knowing you own something far more refined than what most people realize. There's something poetic about that. Suga's garage isn't loud, it's curated, minimalist. A collection of quiet beasts resting in the dark, waiting for the one man who understands them. And emotionally, it fits the arc of his life. Growing up in Daegu, dreaming of music without any guarantee of success, riding bicycles and cheap buses, saving every bit of money he could, he never imagined owning a luxury car. He once talked about how hard it was just to afford basic meals during his trainee years, how he worked part-time jobs that left him exhausted, how his world felt small because the city was big and he had nothing. And now he sits behind the wheel of cars crafted with world-class expertise, cars he earned through relentless discipline and talent. If you understand Yoongi, you understand that every purchase he makes comes from gratitude, not impulse. Every car he owns becomes a symbol of healing, a reminder that the boy who once struggled to pay rent now glides through Seoul in a vehicle built for men who have conquered their fields. And it only gets more emotional when you realize he often drives alone, with music he hasn't released yet, listening to the universe speak through melodies only he can hear. While others use cars to show status, Suga uses them to breathe, to recharge, to escape. Fans who've spotted him know this. He drives calmly, steadily, like someone who respects the machine and the road. He doesn't chase danger, he chases balance. Still, don't mistake his quiet choices for simplicity. Some of his vehicles are high-tech masterpieces with price tags that would make anyone gasp. But he chooses models that emphasize intelligence, not intimidation. Cars built for thinkers, for creators, for the quiet kings of the world. That's why he lands at number 5. Not because he lacks luxury, but because his luxury is hidden behind humility. Understated, elegant, powerful in silence. Just like him. And in a list full of flashy horsepower, Suga's garage is perhaps the most meaningful. A testament to a life rebuilt through music, discipline, and the courage to keep going 1 mile at a time. Number 4. RM, the intellectual with a taste for futuristic luxury. When you think of RM, the first things that come to mind are leadership, wisdom, and the kind of calm maturity that feels years beyond his age. But what most people don't realize is that this same calm, thoughtful presence shows up in his car choices too, except with a twist. RM doesn't go for rich boy toys. He goes for machines that match his mind. Innovative, efficient, environmentally conscious, and quietly but undeniably luxurious. His taste is the hybrid of intelligence and indulgence, the kind of luxury that tells you, "I read the manual twice." RM's car journey is one of the most unique in BTS because it breaks almost every stereotype associated with celebrity car culture. Instead of diving into aggressive supercars or loud engines, he gravitates toward models that prioritize sustainability, design, philosophy, and technological precision. And the deeper you look, the more it makes sense. Namjoon is someone who finds beauty in forests, museums, libraries, abandoned train stations, quiet suburbs, and tiny art galleries no one else notices. So of course, he would choose cars that feel like an extension of his mind, a balance between modern minimalism and futuristic engineering. Imagine him behind the wheel, the wide windshield framing a soul morning, soft music playing, one hand resting lightly on the steering wheel while he reflects on lyrics, life, and everything in between. He isn't the type to speed. He isn't the type to flaunt. He's the type who enjoys the journey as much as the destination, the type who drives not to escape but to think. And that's why his first major car purchase shocked car enthusiasts everywhere. Instead of going for something traditional or predictable, he chose a sleek, modern vehicle that represented a new era in automotive design. A model known not just for luxury, but for being ahead of its time, eco-friendly, elegant, aerodynamic, and beloved by people who value innovation over ego. Fans who remember that moment still talk about how perfectly it matched him. Clean lines, no unnecessary noise, no exaggerated shapes. It looked like something designed by an architect, which is exactly the kind of aesthetic RM loves. But what makes RM's car story even more fascinating is how emotionally tied it is to his sense of responsibility. This is a man who has spoken countless times about climate issues, about the environment, about the fear of humanity losing the world's beauty. So owning an eco-conscious luxury vehicle wasn't just a purchase, it was a statement, a reflection of his values, a symbol of the person he wants to be, even within his success. And yet, RM is still RM. Thoughtful, curious, endlessly learning. So as BTS grew, so did the level of sophistication in his choices. He didn't jump straight into the highest tier, he evolved into it gradually. His later cars leaned even more heavily into premium engineering, perfect for someone who appreciates structure, balance, and smoothness. These aren't cars people buy to show off. These are cars engineers obsess over and artists admire. It's almost poetic how perfectly they match him. Most fans don't realize how much RM loves driving alone. The members have teased him about it, how he'll disappear for a while just to wander through the city or the countryside. The idea of Namjoon in a futuristic car, windows down, passing through quiet roads while the wind cuts through his thoughts and the sky opens up above him, that image captures his entire soul. There's also a hidden emotional layer to his car journey. As someone who grew up with strict parents, who studied endlessly, who never imagined becoming a global superstar, being able to purchase a luxury vehicle meant something deeper to him than most people know. He once spoke about how success gave him freedom of movement, both literally and metaphorically, and that's exactly what his cars represent. Freedom, independence, growth, the ability to breathe, the ability to disappear from the suffocating pressure of fame and reconnect with himself. Fans sometimes joke that RM's car looks like something from a sci-fi movie, something a professor, an artist, or a philosopher would drive, and honestly, that's exactly the point. His vehicles match his identity. Modern, thoughtful, quietly powerful, and unapologetically intelligent. And that is why he lands at number 4. Not because his collection is the biggest or most expensive, but because it carries the strongest sense of character. His cars are extensions of his mind. Clean, futuristic, wise, luxury that makes you think. Machines that inspire reflection. Vehicles chosen by a man who sees the world differently. And somehow, in the grand lineup of BTS, RM's garage stands out not by shouting, but by whispering something meaningful. Drive with purpose. Live with intention. Number 3. jhope, the sunshine collector of bold auto luxury. Before we go any deeper, let's get one thing straight. Jhope isn't in third place just because he owns expensive cars. He's here because his entire energy, his personality, and his life story are reflected so clearly in every vehicle he chooses. Hobie doesn't simply buy cars, he curates atmospheres, matching each vehicle to a different shade of himself, including the sides he doesn't always show on stage. And that's exactly why his automotive journey is far more fascinating than numbers and price tags. Picture this for a moment. A man whose life runs on rhythm. Beats that pound through the floor. Choreography woven down to the millisecond. Studio nights that stretch into dawn. Energy that doesn't fade even when the world is asleep. Now imagine all of that translated into his car collection. Hobie chooses cars the way musicians choose. Instruments, each one has a tone, a groove, a color, a feeling. True fans know he never picks something just because it's cool. He picks it because it resonates. Because the machine matches his lifestyle, his comfort needs, and even his emotional state at that moment. That becomes clear right from his first car, which immediately separated him from the sea of rookie idols. It wasn't a starter model. It wasn't modest. It was bold, luxurious, modern, commanding. The kind of car chosen by someone who believed in his future long before the world caught up. That vehicle mirrored the trainee version of Hobie, full of dreams, full of hunger, still searching for shape, yet already radiating the confidence of someone who knew he'd go far. As BTS grew, so did Hobie's understanding of comfort. Remember, he's the main dancer, his body is his instrument. He doesn't just need a car to get from point A to point B, he needs a space to breathe, to relax sore muscles, to organize choreography in his head. That's why, when he upgraded, the jump was massive. His next car was a premium luxury sport European masterpiece. Silky interiors, whisper, quiet cabin, seats that hug your spine like they're welcoming you home. Every detail of that car screamed one sentence: "This is comfort earned." And there it was, the unmistakable J-Hope's signature behind his decisions. He once mentioned that comfort is one of the greatest gifts life has given him after years of non-stop grinding. So that car wasn't a status symbol, it was a celebration. A sanctuary. A place where he could blast music at midnight or sit in complete silence. A place where he could be Jungkook, not J-Hope. But Hobie's automotive evolution didn't stop there. Years later, when he hit a peak of artistic clarity and financial stability, he made another jump, this time turning heads across the entire Korean car collector community. A high-end, ultra-luxury European model with a price tag that could easily rival a house. And once again, he didn't buy it to flaunt. He bought it because it was simply beautiful. The shape, the interior detailing, the way the doors opened, the stability of the engine, the elegance of its frame, everything aligned with Hobie's artistic sensibilities. That car wasn't a vehicle, it was a rolling art gallery. And if you've ever seen the way Hobie smiles in the driver's seat, you instantly understand that this wasn't a purchase, this was a moment of personal warmth. A pocket of peace in a chaotic life. There's another fascinating aspect most people overlook: how seriously Hobie values privacy while driving. Fans who've encountered him on the road describe him as an incredibly polite and calm driver, steady, careful, always maintaining safe distance. For someone who lives under a constant spotlight, his car is one of the few places where he can take the mask off. A place where he can laugh freely, dance a little at a red light, or sit quietly while reflecting on something he might never share publicly. Every car he chooses carries the same DNA: comfort, stability, elegance, and just a hint of boldness that is unmistakably J-Hope. You can feel his sunshine energy in motion, like his brightness has been shaped into metal and machinery. That's the real reason he sits confidently at number 3. Not because his cars are the most expensive, but because his selections have soul. Because they reflect growth, transformation, and emotional intelligence. Because his garage tells the story of a dancer who learned to cherish himself. J-Hope's collection is a spiritual journey disguised as an automotive one. And when you see those cars glide down the road, you're not just seeing vehicles, you're seeing rhythm, warmth, and artistry all moving at the same time. Number 2, Jungkook, the unbreakable force of duality. It's almost poetic, isn't it? How a person can be known for softness yet command respect, like steel. When we step into the second spot on this list, we're encountering a presence that doesn't just shake the room, he recalibrates the entire atmosphere without saying a word. Jungkook, the youngest, the golden one, the artist who moves thousands with a breath and millions with a heartbeat, earns his number 2 position not because of hype, not because of popularity, but because of something far deeper: his unshakable mental discipline. What makes Jungkook so compelling is not just his voice, his looks, or his fame. It's that almost supernatural ability to adapt, learn, and dominate whatever stands in front of him. Drop him into a complex challenge, he masters it. Put him under crushing pressure, he grows sharper. Surround him with chaos, he moves with precision. There is a reason people call him the Golden Maknae, but it's a title that hides more than it reveals. Behind those 3 words is a lifetime of obsession, grit, and relentless internal battles that shaped him into someone who doesn't just perform, he conquers. During military service, this side of him became even more vivid. Reports from training sessions, whispers among recruits, describe a man who pushed himself past the restrictions of the body by relying on sheer mental command. When others looked exhausted, he looked focused. When others doubted themselves, he doubled down. When tasks became too hard, too painful, too overwhelming, Jungkook didn't break. He became more dangerous, more disciplined, more precise. And this discipline doesn't stay in the military. It follows him everywhere, into rehearsals, into recording sessions, onto the stage, and even when the cameras aren't rolling. You can feel it from the way he walks, the way he listens, the way he breathes. It's an intensity wrapped in gentleness, a fire hidden behind calm eyes, a storm disguised as a breeze. That duality, soft yet strong, gentle yet unyielding, is what earns him the second spot. Because strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet endurance, the silent commitment, the unseen battles that shape a person into someone unstoppable. And Jungkook? He is the very definition of someone who refuses to be limited. Someone who keeps rising, keeps evolving, keeps sharpening the edges of his identity. But if Jungkook is this powerful, if Jungkook represents the standard for discipline and transformation, then who in the world could possibly take the #1 spot above him? You're about to find out. Just say the word and I'll continue. Number 1. Taehyung. The mind that commands everything. There are moments in every story when the spotlight shifts not to the most flamboyant, not to the loudest, but to the one whose power has always been there, quiet and steady, waiting to be recognized. And when we finally reach the #1 spot on this list, we enter the realm of someone whose strength is not carved into muscles or announced through flashy performances. It is woven into the very structure of his mind. That someone is Taehyung. What sets Taehyung apart is not physical dominance, nor emotional theatrics, nor the visible fierceness that fans often look for. His power is internal, invisible, yet undeniably present. He stands at the top because his mental precision, emotional intelligence, and unshakable resilience form a foundation stronger than steel, the kind of foundation a group can lean on without fear of collapse. Taehyung is the strategist, the observer, the quiet architect. He understands the battlefield of the mind better than anyone. When others get overwhelmed, he gets analytical. When others rush forward impulsively, he steps back and sees the full board. His silence is not absence, it is calculation. His calmness is not weakness, it is control. And when he finally speaks, it's with the confidence of someone who has already run the scenario in his head 100 different ways. What elevates him to the top is not just intelligence, it's clarity. The ability to stay centered in storms that would break others. The discipline to keep pushing when the world goes dark. The courage to be vulnerable without losing his edge. The mental fortitude to carry both himself and those who rely on him. Even in high-pressure environments like military service, insiders describe something rare. A soldier who doesn't just perform tasks but understands them. Who doesn't just endure hardship but absorbs it, transforms it, and uses it as fuel. There is a steadiness in him, a depth, a razor-sharp awareness of his own limits, and the strength to surpass them without noise. This is what real mastery looks like. Not loud, not flashy, not desperate to prove anything. Just solid. Focused, untouchable. Taehyung takes the #1 spot because his strength lies in the realm that controls everything else. The mind that makes the choices, the heart that carries the weight, the clarity that guides the path. A quiet king, a silent force, a mind built like an empire.